Hello, my video today is about the 10 things you're going to need to be able to handle if you're even thinking about moving to the northern half of the state of Arizona. So if you're even thinking about moving to Flagstaff, Sedona, Verde Valley, Prescott Valley, you're going to want to stay tuned because you're going to want to know, can you handle these things? Because if you can't, I'm going to be putting up your house for sale and you're going to be moving back to where you came from within a year. So stay tuned. You're going to want to know these things. Welcome to the Living in Northern Arizona YouTube channel. Now, if you're new to the channel, this channel talks about everything you would need to know if you're thinking about relocating to the northern half of the state of Arizona. Each week I'll give you a video that will tell you what it's like to live here, to work here, to eat, sleep, and play here, and even to retire here. So if this is what you're looking for, please give the video a thumbs up because that helps other people who are looking for this type of information to find the video. You're also going to want to hit the subscribe button because that will let you know every single time I upload a video and it's something you're going to be wanting to see. So hit the subscribe, the notification bell, so that you won't miss out on a video that's going to be just what you are looking for. So if you're not new to the channel, welcome back. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate here in the northern half of the state, specifically Sedona, Verde Valley, Prescott, Flagstaff, Pine, Payson, Strawberry, the northern Arizona towns. So every single day I have people reaching out to me by phone call, text, email, or even going into the description below and finding a link to my calendar where you could schedule either a phone call or a Zoom call and we could talk and have a brief conversation and decide if this is something you would want to do. I love it when people do that because they make my best clients, and even if we just have a conversation and you rule it out, this way you'll know. You won't have to wonder anymore if this is a good move for you. So go ahead and do that and take a listen. I'm going to tell you the 10 things that you're going to want to need to know if you're thinking about moving to the northern half of the state, because if you can't handle these 2 things, it's 10 things. If you can't handle these 10 things, it's probably not going to work out for you. Okay, so today I'm talking about the 10 things you're going to need to be able to handle if you want to live in the northern half of the state of Arizona. I'm going to start with number 1, which is forest fires. Now, just now, mid-June 2022, there are 3 big forest fires happening in the northern half of the state, 3 of them around Flagstaff, and it's very sad. I get on social media this morning and I see my friends posting, they're in their cars evacuating. They get all their belongings. I hear the kitty cats howling. They're all scared to death because their homes might burn down. Now, there's always been a risk of forest fires in Arizona, but it just seems like the last 5-10 years it's just gotten way worse than it ever was. So there's a risk of the forest catching on fire, and if you're in one of the rural areas where there are a lot of pine trees, you're going to be at risk, and someday you may have to evacuate and you've got a risk of losing your home. So that's the very first thing. Now the other thing is, so we're at risk of forest fires up until the monsoons, which is usually June all the way through about 4th of July is when we start getting the rains. Of course, that can happen, anywhere from mid-June to late August. We can start getting rains, but a lot of times if there's been a forest fire, now you get the burn scar and then it rains, you're going to have massive flooding in those areas where you had the burn scar. But not just that, you get floods in the canals and washes, and people that aren't used to it might drive through the wash and then their car will be washed downstream. Hopefully that's all you lose is your car, because sometimes people get killed not understanding. They drive through the wash and they end up drowning. So that's very bad. So flood and forest fire, usually the fires start first and then there are floods. So you need to be aware of it. And if you can't handle that, you just might not want to move here. So another thing, this is something that personally got to me, is pine needles. So a lot of places in the pine country, I had a place at Mormon Lake, for instance, you'll have big, beautiful ponderosa pines, and they will shed their needles like crazy, and you're going to need to go out and rake them up. And if you don't, that of course makes your risk of forest fire much worse. So that's definitely why you're going to want to rake up the pine needles. And if you're older like me, you might not want to do it. You might want to hire somebody, which that's fine in theory, but it's very difficult to find find somebody reliable to come not only rake up all those pine needles, put them in bags, then they got to haul them off to the dump. So if you can't handle raking pine needles, you might want to just move somewhere. Actually, you could move in a northern Arizona town, but you might want to stick to like Cottonwood and Cornville instead of like Flagstaff or Munns Park, because the pine needles really are a pain. We got to rake all of those up. Another thing I want to put on the list is guns. If you're scared of guns, this is probably not the place for you, because a lot of people will pack. You got a lot of the, I want to say cowboy or outdoors type people. A lot of them just pack because they're hunters. You'll see a lot of hunters who can't handle people having guns, or you can't handle hunting. You can't handle saying, for instance, a pickup truck drive by you and there's a big dead elk in the back. If you can't handle that, this is definitely not the place for you, because in hunting season, there will be people with rifles everywhere you look, and you will often see dead deer and elk hanging out of the back of a pickup truck. So if that is upsetting to you, this probably isn't the place that you're going to want to live. Okay, so number 5 on my list is a topic I hate talking about. I hate this, but people will always ask me this, or often ask me this. Hey, is it a lot of Republicans, or are there a lot of Democrats? Because I would hate to get in the house and find out I got Democrats living next door, or I'd hate to get in the house and find out I got a bunch of Republicans living on my block. So to me, I'm like, come on guys, we're all in this together. You can have someone living next door that you love, and then they sell the house and now you got somebody else 6 months from now. So I wouldn't get all worked up about, who's living in the neighborhood, Republicans or Democrats, because we're all in this together. But if you must know, northern Arizona is largely a red state, red county, with maybe the exception of Sedona. Sedona's a little more balanced. You got probably more evenly split. Flagstaff might be the same, might be a little more balanced. A lot of the other areas though, Prescott, Cottonwood, Cornville, Mormon Lake, very red, probably 2/3 Republican versus 1/3 Democrat. Just, generalizing. I'm not, because it's going to be different between the towns, but I'm just telling you, if you're a person that's really worried about that, then it's largely red, and you might want to move to Tucson, which is blue area. So if that's something that's really important, just know there's a lot of conservative people that live in like Yavapai County and in the higher parts of the state. So just know about that. So another thing, number 6, is I'm going to say off-grid properties. A lot of people like moving to northern Arizona because you'll have a lot of areas that are out in the wilderness and they're off-grid. So just a couple things to know about the off-grid. One is if you got an off-grid place that's on solar panels, that's actually not a problem at all. I know a lot of places on solar. It's nice. You generate all your electricity. Just do be aware that if you're seeing a place that's got 30, 40-year-old solar panels, that they don't last forever, so you're probably going to need to get them upgraded. But they do power cabins quite nicely, and it's something you can live with. The thing that I worry about with the off-grid is there are a lot of places that have no water, and so you either have to get a great big cistern tank and then hire a company to haul in the water and deliver it to you. There's a lot of delivery companies, or you can drill a well. Now wells can be very, very expensive, and you could drill way down deep and not getting any water. So to me, the cost of a well just totally offsets your possibility of living off grid. And the water delivery is not so bad, but 2 things to keep in mind is we are in a drought, so water's becoming more scarce. You may have a delivery source that's working great now, but in 2 years they may be up, my water source is dried up and I can't deliver anymore, and then you're in a little bit of hot water. No pun intended. And then the other thing is some lenders won't loan on a house that is a water haul. Some will. It's going to depend on your lender. So you'll have to maybe interview a couple of different people. What I've encountered on the lenders that do lend on water haul is they'll say there needs to be 3 recent sales in the neighborhood on water haul for them to do a loan. So that's something to think about if you're interested in off-grid. Someplace like Sedona Lake, for instance, they have a water company, a private water company. So that's great. You got water, but you have to be on the solar panels. So that's kind of like an in-between hybrid. Not a bad deal if you can find something off-grid, but they do have water for you. So number 7 is there's too many Airbnbs. Now what's happened is Airbnb became legal about 7 years ago, 5 years ago. The platform makes it super easy for people to rent out their property to vacation people. So now if you have a house that's in an area with no rules, and a lot of the tourist towns like, say, Munns Park, Mormon Lake, lots of Sedona, Page, you'll have a lot of these Airbnbs now. So if there's one of those right next to you, you could have no neighbors. You got a new person every week, like you have a motel living next to you. And if you don't like that, that's something that you got to be aware of, that you could have an Airbnb next to you. I mean, this still happens in other parts of the state. Scottsdale, I hear, are getting a lot of Airbnb, but that's something to be aware of. If you're in a gorgeous place like Sedona, maybe check your HOA, see if they're permitted. And if you don't care, then that's fine. But Airbnb is just something that we're dealing with right now. Another thing is ATVs. So this is kind of sad. My family's had ATVs for years. I have a side-by-side. There are too many ATVs now. And so you'll have a place like Sedona, for instance, because I live here, I'm going to tell you, I have the ATV. And there's all these ATV rental places. So now there's way more ATVs than the land really can accommodate, because companies have come in and they've got 100 rentals that they're renting out this weekend, and there's 5 of them. So all those people get set loose in the forest with no training. You know, here you go, here's the keys. And not only no training, but they really don't emphasize, you know, you don't go actually off-road where it says no motorized vehicles, but people do it anyhow. They just go. And then the other thing is they'll start, doing donuts and kicking up a bunch of dust. And so now the people that have one, like me, for instance, it's hard to find a place to ride because a lot of the roads have closed down because people are tired of this. And then the others, there's just everywhere you go, people are on them. And so you're competing with a lot, and it's not so easy to have a nice peaceful ride on your ATV anymore. Now, here's one more thing you might not be aware of, but I know in Sedona, some of the locals have had it with the ATVs, and I see them out there with their signs, don't rent the ATV. But this, I'm sure, if you're renting, you might have a hard time with this. As I see some of the locals are out there with their video cameras, and if they see you breaking the rule, they're out there with the camera and they're looking at, do you know that you're not supposed to be here? And do you know that the dust kills the trees? And I would freak out if someone did that to me. And then they post it on YouTube. There's a whole YouTube channel of some of the locals that just follow you out there on your ATV, and they find you doing something wrong, and they post it up there, because they're vicious. Now, I'm going to say I don't like having that many of them myself, but I'm not going to go stalking you because I have one myself. I like to ride it. It's just made it more difficult. If you have one, it's made it much more difficult to ride, and a lot more animosity than there used to be when not everybody, when they weren't available for rent and only people that owned them was riding. So a lot more of those ATVs than there used to be, and it's kind of made the forest and the desert a little bit overcrowded. So keep that in mind. Number 9 is that you're going to deal with wild animals. So not only the wild animals like the javelina and the snakes and the bugs, those are just things that you're going to have to deal with. I had a snake in my garage the other day. So if you're scared of snakes, you're scared of coyotes, you're scared of bobcats, this might not be the right place for you. So, and I got one last thing. One of the 10 things that you need to be able to handle is now it's super hard to find help. So, like if you need to have a landscaper, most of us have landscapers in Sedona where I live, say. So it's really hard to get a reliable landscape company that, like I say, I might have somebody that's supposed to come once a month, but then maybe they don't come 1 month and they don't tell you. Or you'll go and ask for a quote and somebody will say, sure, and then they never show up. Or you'll try to get a handyman and you have to call 15 people before someone will come out. Or you'll need to get a roofer or a plumber. So you kind of get my drift. It's very hard to get people to help. Even a housekeeper, hard to hire someone. And some of the local businesses are shutting down right now because they can't get people to work. They can't get people in the restaurants or in the hospitality running the front desk at, say, the Holiday Inn. Even the grocery stores having a hard time. But I'm specifically thinking if you're living here and you need just people doing work around your house, raking up those pine needles or trimming the bushes, that kind of thing, it's definitely a little bit more difficult than it used to be just to get help. So that's it That's the list. Those 10 things. If you cannot handle those 10 things, then just probably don't want to live in northern Arizona. You might want to go to Tucson, maybe to Phoenix, or one of the other states, you know, Colorado, Vegas, New Mexico, but northern Arizona might not be the place. So my name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate here in the beautiful northern half of the state, specifically Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, Prescott Valley. If you have a real estate question, don't be afraid to give me a call, email, text, and please, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, come back, and you'll be notified if you ring the bell every time I upload a new video to the channel. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I post every single week a new topic on living in northern Arizona, so I hope you come back, and I hope to see you back here again next week.